Hi everyone. Happy Monday, if it is indeed a Monday for you too. Look at this. Isn't this just everything in the world? It's this Betsey Johnson purse. It's a crossbody. Look at this. Okay, so here's like the back of the roller skate. Yes. And Hubbers bought it for me because I don't know if you guys knew it or not, but I was pretty much a real roller queen. In my hometown, growing up in my little hometown, near Spokane, Washington, got this roller rink, and there was nothing to do in this little hodunk town anyway, right? One movie theater. I've got the movies, you know, very late, but anyway, we got this movie theater. We got this roller rink, and I think I was like 6th grade when I started, and because I was so small, oh, I didn't even notice that this toe stop is glitter too. Look at that. Oh, wow. Someone also said that they like my manicure. Thank you. These are little pumpkins. And then that's a solid little pumpkins and that. I thought that, you know, I'd be real cute for surgery with my little Halloween nails. So, surgery's Thursday. It's now Monday, going into Monday. So anyway, nothing to do in a small town. A roller rink starting was just every frickin' thing, right? And I was so good at it because I was super small for my age, like I told you guys. I was, 59 pounds in 5th grade because I had severe asthma, blah, 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 everything else, right? And I was 85 pounds at age 16 when I got pregnant with my first son. So I was a little speed devil with my roller rink that was new in town. And I won everything. The speed skate, the limbo. No one could beat me. I mean, I was very flexible at that age. Speed skate, shoot the duck. I mean, no one could touch me. You know, I was everything. And then as an adult, I did a little bit of roller derby right before I got sick. So that was kind of fun, and I didn't fall at all. I could stay up, so it was good. But I haven't put on skates, since I was a kid. It's just, I need to, and once I get my shoulder fixed once and for all, I probably shouldn't put on skates. I probably should have done it this year, and then if I screwed up my shoulder, then it would have been more imminent surgery, right? But, I mean, I was just in my own world when I was roller skating. Did you guys roller skate when you were in your teens too? Let me know in the comments. I love to hear about the commonalities we have. I think that we're just one big group of friends, and like we would have the best time together. We could have a convention, okay? We could have a Warts Island convention, and you know our motto: no twats allowed. Okay, do you guys see that? Maybe I should do that as a thumbnail, because there's been I've been sniffing out a lot of smelly twats coming to my channel lately. So they need to stop it, because we are truth warriors. We are 712 strong now, 712 having intelligent conversations, interacting with each other in the comments like you guys do, and I'm getting better at catching up with my comments and stuff. And you guys like talk to each other, which is great. I love it when you guys talk to each other in the chat. Because what I hope to do is I hope to just be able to start the conversations that we all have going in our head when we see this narrative that doesn't fit for the Watts. You can't tell me that anybody actually believes it happened the way that the narrative says. And by us, talking, we're giving each other, better ideas to then, oh, wow, that's how that happened. Or, oh, that's what that did. Absolutely incredible. I love it. Now, in that being said, there's no right or wrong answer in a discussion on an entertainment channel, okay? Let's say that my channel right now is 80 to 90% entertainment, okay? Which 10 to 20% would be based on facts, okay? I'm not trying to get sued. I am careful with what I say for a reason. I am not writing a scholarly article about what I believe happened, because then I would have to cite my sources, and the sources would go to the narrative that we know is not true. So, in my channel, in the comments, please continue to be nice to each other, and don't start you're wrong. You're wrong, because we don't know. I believe there's more than one person who knows what happened that night that is still alive. Okay? I don't know if there's up to 5 people alive that know what happened that night. I don't know if we ever will know. But SW left us with an amazing teaching opportunity to explain what covert narcissism is, and covert and subtle mental, psychological, and ultimately physical abuse looks like. Okay? One of you in the comments said it best, where it said that this case is like peeling an onion, and the more you peel, the more layers there are, and that's absolutely true. And here we are, more than 4 years later, thousands of people, if not millions of people at this point, have looked at it and are trying to untangle the twisted web of deceit that woman wove. I am so tired of people continuing to enable and make excuses for the dysfunctional and abusive behavior that can no longer be dismissed. There are enough very talented creators out there with amazing editing and visual skills that show SW's own words, her behavior for what it is, that nobody can say anymore that, oh, you can't just say that because one little video you saw that she's bad. I mean, everybody has a screaming kid at Easter and Halloween and Christmas, right? Why don't you try and be a mom, huh? Well, we're past that now. Okay? We're past that. Some people don't understand satire and humor, and I understand that. If you don't like my channel and you don't like what I'm saying, change the channel. Just change the channel. Like tonight, I love watching me some 90 Day Fiancé. My husband can't stand it because the voice levels fluctuate. So he goes to bed early, and I go to bed late, obviously. And I love to have the TV on. So I like to have 90 Day Fiancé playing in the background. Well, he can't sleep to that. That'll wake him up. Because it's not just a nice show that just goes on and on. Especially since they got that horrible Castrovet family. Oh my God. They just scream horribly. And did you know that most of the people on 90 Day Fiancé have OnlyFans accounts now, too? It's crazy. Even, well, I don't know if Nine Toes does. But Nine Toes is trying to interject herself back in the conversation, too. So, watch it. All the ghouls come out for Halloween, I suppose. But so that's the thing, is that, you know, if it's too disruptive or, you know, whatever, you know, while he's sleeping, I'll just change the channel. Maybe there's something that I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to listen to this anymore. It's not holding my attention. I change the channel. YouTube should be that way too. If you are no longer interested in what that person is saying, just go to a different channel. There's something for everything. There's something for everybody at this point. And so on YouTube, I'm hanging out there a lot more lately because I don't like political ads. I was involved in low-level in the political genre that you guys will know about someday. But I know the way that politics work from the inside out, and I hate the ads because, sadly, the person with the most money often wins. And so whoever gets the best commercials, they have the best editors, they have the best teams. I think that the commercials should be outlawed. I don't think that there should be political commercials at all. I think that each person running for a political office, whether it's, you know, from the county commissioner to the president, I think that they should all be able to have a website that is registered, you know, through the county, city, state, federal, whatever. And that person can contribute to their website, and the people on their team can contribute to that website, so that when people want to see who's running and whatnot, they can go to one source. And with it being, you know, a government site or whatever, then, you know, there might be the ability to have protections in there so that there wasn't a bunch of spamming or, you know, so somebody couldn't totally take over somebody's site. I hate the signs in the yards. I want to see the fucking fall leaves. I don't want to see these big, ugly posters all over. I need them to stop. So, like I said, I'm not watching regular TV right now. So, what did I do? I wanted to watch something that would be good background. Well, my favorite show of all time is Picket Fences. And so I finally found on Tubi, you can get Picket Fences again. Did you guys ever watch that show? My favorite show ever. So, you know, I turned that on. So it's like I went through Netflix, couldn't find it. Went through YouTube, couldn't find it. Went through Prime Video, couldn't find it. But I found it on Tubi. That's the way it should be for people right now who are going to the YouTube, you know. If they want to watch something funny, they, you know, maybe they have their channels that they go to, like I do when I want to laugh and put myself in a good laughing mood so I can go to sleep. Because I love me a good laugh before I go to sleep. So if you can, put some jokes in my feed. I love them. I love to laugh. And on that, I get dragged for making jokes and whatnot. And there's a way to start conversation, and there's a way to have people listen to you and stay engaged. And that is a way of inserting some degree of humor into things. And there's some people who don't get jokes. But people will say, oh yeah, you're being insensitive if you only knew. Believe me, if you knew the story of my life, you wouldn't think that I'd be able to ever form a laugh or smile. But I do. In spite of what I've been through. And because I could laugh at the most terrible situations. Sometimes it could take a couple days, but ultimately I'll be able to put it into a nice framed up little box and be able to refer to it with a little bit of satire and get through it. And our whole world, well, country, you used to be able to do that by watching Saturday Night Live. I was going to say world because people can get any TV that they want now. So people can watch SNL, you know, even if they're in Europe or whatever, they can watch anything. SNL isn't funny anymore because it can't be, because the people who don't get jokes will troll SNL and threaten them. And because they are dependent upon advertisers' dollars. They bow down to that 1 to 5% that is negative. And so you can no longer make a joke. The jokes that they try fall every time because they have to be edited out. I mean, back when I was a kid in the 80s, I remember my parents watching SNL. And my cool bio dad, you know, not the step monster from hell. He didn't laugh, remember? But I just remember, and I had the biggest crush on Steve Martin. Oh, well, Silver Fox. I was like 5 or 6, and I thought that Steve Martin was going to be my husband. Him or Kenny Rogers. I wasn't sure, but it was definite about one of the two. But I mean, I would just like be like, what, 5 or 6, and be, you know, running around the house doing the SNL jokes, and Steve Martin, the Egyptian one, you know, that was that was my favorite. And the Coneheads. You know, you couldn't have anything like that because some Conehead would come along and be like, you are not making me feel like I'm accepted, and I have a right to be not ridiculed or mocked. My Conehead is strong and it is shiny. I mean, it's just everything like that. It's like, if you don't like something, just go. Move on. Don't go to that creator and say, you're wrong. Because, it's like, okay, if I was in college and you were my professor, and you docked me some points, then you would need to tell me where my material was, because I'd be writing a scholarly article. I'd be writing a thesis that I would need to prove or disprove. But that is not it. This is an entertainment channel that is bringing a group of amazing people together. My troll ratio is like 2%. The 98% of us that are creating an amazing sisterhood, we are 712 strong. So maybe 710 of us get it and the other 2 don't, and that's okay. And I mean, we could bring them along for the ride, you know. They don't have to talk, just listen. But I mean, I just feel that if everybody has, you know, the ability to have their own channel, like they do, because that's how you go and watch, that means that every single person has the ability to have their own channel. And if they want to go to their own channel and say what they feel is wrong about what somebody else said, go do it. Awesome. And then if I want to see what that person thinks about this or whatever, I'll go to their channel and listen. The world's amazing like that right now. So what I want to say, and I talk with my hands, so you can probably see the shadows going all over because I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands. But right now I have a scepter too. Isn't that cool? It's this amethyst right here. And sometimes I like to wave it around while I'm talking. My scepter. So if you guys will forgive me, I think I got my disclaimer out. So this is a educational and entertainment channel. 80-20. 80 is truth and 20% is malarkey, or 20% is truth and 80% is malarkey. However you choose to look at it. Please be nice in the comments. Continue to do so. Don't ever go after anybody that we're discussing. The people who we are discussing are public figures. They put themselves into that position, and as such they are available for critique. And just as much as they're allowed for praise, they're a critique. So I'm not mom shaming. I am trying to give a voice for those that don't have a voice in a way that can best explain and have people start a dialogue. That's all I'm trying to do. So with that being said, I just have a lot of loose ends from a lot of questions that were asked and whatnot. As I'm getting time to kind of look through the comments. As you guys can hear, I woke up this morning as sick as I was when this stupid ass virus began 2 weeks ago. And I was so upset because I've got so much to do. I don't have time to be sick like this. I got all the bathrooms cleaned last night and everything, and I clean up most things in my house with vinegar in a spray bottle. And the two things I hate in the world, and I hate, is water sediment and spiders. Straight up bane of my existence. I hate water that just turns to orange when it's on the counter. When we built this house, we put in the best system available to prevent that. And still, the water is hard. And I probably go through like 2 gallons of vinegar a week at least. But I wanted to get all the windows done, or all the mirrors done with the squeegee and stuff, because that's just terrible on my arm. And I don't know when the next time I'll be able to do that. Because I have to, because rotator cuff repair, there's a bone spur in the rotator cuff tear. And the bicep is detached, so it's a rotator cuff repair, getting the bone spur out, cleaning it up, and then bicep reattachment. So my big herking splint has like a pillow out of it, so it keeps my arm at like a 20-degree angle. And then my hand and wrist has a ball that I'm supposed to, you know, keep it on, because I'm not supposed to type or anything, to use anything on my right arm for the first 2 weeks. And then at a 2-week mark, I've got my physical therapy all set up, and I'll go to my physical therapist, and she's the most amazing person in the world, and we'll start going on this. But mine is a complicated old tear, and I'm not a spring chicken, so it's going to take probably, they said, at least a year. But I mean, at least a year I won't have this kind of pain that I deal with, because sometimes the pain is so burdensome. It'll be okay, and then I'll just get that horrible pain from the center of my shoulder out, and it's just horrible. And I had a flashback. I was just talking to my kids, and we were talking about when I first remember my shoulder hurting. And I remember it because my asshole stepfather was a policeman in a small town. He was a detective, and as I like to refer to him as the defective detective. Anything that he thought was out of line, like a laugh, you know, was met with extreme abuse. You know, later it became sexual abuse, and began with verbal and physical. But he would grab me by my right shoulder, between my neck and my shoulder blade, and he would grab it and pinch this area, and it would literally drop me to my knees. And you know, one time I asked him why he did it and why that's okay, and he said that because he was a police officer, that was how he was trained to regain control of the situation. Oh, okay, you know, being the little kid that I was. Oh, okay, he just has to get control of it. And he can do that because he's a policeman. So it doesn't matter that my arm hurts so bad that I cry myself to sleep most night, you know. And tonight when I had that flashback, I said, why would I have ever accepted that? That means that I was a criminal and he was having to get control of the situation. But he was my stepfather, and I was very tiny for my age. So where, I don't know. As he was the defective detective in a small town, I had to figure out how to outsmart that fuck every day of my life to try and get some kind of quality of life. Of which there was not much of. So my way of thinking became backwards, where I look at things like outside in. And that's why I see things sometimes that other people don't. And they're like, wow, why do you do that? I'm like, because my brain is weird. I don't know. I had to outthink some asshole who had a badge every day. My mom was busy sitting on the freaking couch crushing her potato chips. You know, 3 pieces so she could crunch, and then eat 1, 2, 3 pieces. That's what she did all day. Watch Dallas and her soaps. So I can remember it hurting as a kid, and then just every single thing, you know, like I said, I fell at work really bad, and it was a semi-dislocation. You know, I tried to catch myself with it. Every fall I've had, you know, I try and catch myself with my right arm, and just always re-aggravates it. So, you know, I turned 50 in last May. So, you know, really to look back and say this has bothered me for probably 43 years, 42, I don't know, a very long time. So I just have a lot of loose ends here, basically answering comments. So if you guys don't mind, like I say, I woke up really, really sick again. I took a COVID test. It's negative. I don't know what the hell I have. One of my children got it. He got it the second week in, where I had it right about the time when I started the steroid boost. And I had to stop the steroid because I couldn't be on that, you know, within 7 to 10 days of my surgery. So it was like real close. But, and then, so it's not COVID. I checked, and I think they say there's a RSV strain out there that's really bad. But I don't know. It's just horrible. So I'm going to try to get one of the, or at least a couple pages out of our Controlling People book, read too towards the end, but I may not be able to. We'll see how my throat holds up. And, ultimately, what I want to do is I want to do some lives when I'm not able to use my right hand, and I can just be all propped up in my bed and scroll with my left hand and do some lives, and you guys can ask me some questions. You guys can ask me some questions. Yes, you can. Because this book is getting really juicy. Like I say, I mean, I could have like one video and just be like, okay, and this is what it is, and this is what I think she had, and this is why I think it happened, and thank you very much for listening to me. No. I want to talk to you guys about all the things, because I think backwards in, and I see a lot of things backwards in, and I wasted a lot of time in school, and I don't have much to show for it. So if I can spread my knowledge somehow to other people so that they can understand what they're looking for and see and can look into some of these behaviors, because people just don't see what me and others see. And I think that a lot of us who have been abused see the patterns in ways that others don't. And it's interesting to see. Now, one of the things that is really disturbing to me is all the people who make excuses for SW and her behavior. So right now, I want to say this. SW was not a victim of an MLM. I think it's very, very naive for people to continue to try to explain her behaviors off and blame an MLM. I don't think they know the whole story at all. This was not her first MLM. Okay, her daddy, and yes, I know that he's a Polak, but he's Polish, and Polak is the fish, I forget. Polak is the fish, Polish is a Polish people. All right, so what kinds of things are Polish that you eat other than fish? Is Polak from Poland? I don't know. I know they have Polish sausages. I don't know. When I did my 23andMe, I have a lot of things in me, but I don't have any Polish. Mainly Italian and Scottish. And Irish. And French. And British. And so she did MLMs with Daddy. She did Amway, okay? Well, her dad, according to her, was an alcoholic that she never got to know Remember when she told that teacher that her dad was an alcoholic and he never paid any attention to her? He only paid attention to her brother? Well, the only time she got time with him, it sounds like, is when they did the MLM. She learned to disassociate from her responsibilities by putting it into an MLM, much as her father did, as he turned to alcohol to deal with Mama Ru and her emasculation issues. She taught SW to emasculate. Emasculate is when you knock down a man. Emasculate is essentially knocking down a man so much that they do not even feel like a man, that they're a joke, that they're something that is walked over and taken advantage of. We see that in the pie video with Mama Ru encouraging the emasculation of CW. Big time. There's a lot of things to pick apart in that pie video. It's so disturbing. And she found a way to disassociate from the problems at home and everything else by going to the Amway things with Daddy. Okay? Another significant marker in that is that when things started to get a little boring in her life, maybe, she started working a lot and extra time and was getting into that lifestyle of that dirty South. And she became the queen of the dirty South, as we've discussed. Okay? Did an MLM force her to be implicated in the missing amount of money at that place of employment? Or, in fact, did SW's actions in the way that she took advantage of her position of power in granting financial privileges, extending credit, did an MLM make her do that? Did Amway make her do that? No. When her first husband said things weren't working out, let's go to marital counseling, and she didn't like what the marital counselor said because the marital counselor probably told her that she needed individual counseling, that she was not communicating well, and that she was indeed emasculating her man, a pattern she learned from Mama Ru. Did she try to work on her relationship and her first husband, or what did she do? She became somebody who didn't come home at night. So as a wife in an unhappy marriage, she started not coming home at night to her husband. Did Amway make her do that? No. She, in fact, made those decisions not to come home to her husband and ruin what was left of their marriage. That led to a divorce. Her behavior led to a divorce. And that's when she bought that beautiful house and she became Queen of the Dirty South. And I did hear that her father and his family worked to build that beautiful house. I don't know, in fact, if that is true or not, but if so, they did an amazing job. I think that house is beautiful. Now, around that time, if we look back, there was something called the Glass House that she may or may not have been working for. We don't know if that was a place or if that was part of a lifestyle. As in that time where she was working, it was part of the lifestyle. That where she was working, you could get a package, this, that, or the other, you know, that would pimp your ride out and put wheels on it, and a thumping stereo system, and shaded windows. That's the lifestyle. In her reign of the lowly people in the village, that they could come and buy a package. And it is alleged that if the person came in and wanted that package, and let's say that it was indeed $2,500, SW may or may not have ran a credit check and ran it for $3,500, told that person that they were approved, and they got that package for the lifestyle, and gave them a payment plan. The person then assumes that their payment is for the $2,500 that they applied for, where it is alleged that it was for a larger amount. That larger amount, the gap between what the person was approved for, what they had asked for and signed and acknowledged for, was in fact different. The person who was getting the credit did not know that. They just knew that they had to pay this payment for this long. Most people don't pay attention to it. I'm an idiot financially. Tell me what I've got to pay you, and I'll pay you. I don't look at the terms and conditions when there's something that I want. That's why I don't have any money. Because I wouldn't look at stuff like that. So anyway, those are alleged. Don't come for me in the comments. These are rumors. They may or may not be true. But this is the way in which it is explained that there was then this missing amount of money. So when that would happen, say that she was in on it with a couple of people, and they would take that money off the top. So say this person applied for $2,500, you get them at $3,500, so the loan is actually for $3,500. You fudge the numbers on their contract, so they have no way of knowing. They're just paying this amount or whatever. Okay? Most of the people just wanted that lifestyle that they were selling, you know, fast cars, fast women, shiny things, alcohol, whatever else. The lifestyle, the music, the clothes. And who do you ask it from? The Queen with her scepter right here. And she will grant you credit. And most of these people, you know, they want to be accepted and cool in this lifestyle and all this stuff. So let's say with that extra $1,000 off the top, was she in it with somebody else and they take $500 and she takes $500? Did that amount go into the suitcase, in fact, of cash that was used to put a down payment to get the said house built? Because after she got divorced, she went and independently bought that beautiful house by putting down the amount of cash that she had in this suitcase. I did not hear that anybody else was implicated in that. I heard that she was the one who was implicated and in fact was going to face charges, in which I have covered in my video, Queen of the Dirty South. It's just a story. May or may not make sense. But it's a way to consider what is said. So this glass house thing that she was tagged in on Facebook, I saw that somebody else posted that. In fact, it was one hot ham person who posted that. Now, people got a hold of it. They all tried to take credit, you know, like, oh, running up to the teacher. Look at what I got. Look at what I got. Pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. But nah, guys, that was Hot Ham who posted that. She was first. She allowed some other people that she was talking to, you know, look at them, and, you know, she shared it in a group. Most people know where it came from. The people who are running around trying to say they found it themselves. Well, have they ever been known for being reliable or remembering who people are? Anyway. Who made her make those decisions in which she was implicated in taking money? She did. SW did. Okay? So then she gets, you know, the frick out of town when the heat's coming down about that little financial snafu, and she hadn't stepped foot back in North Carolina until the time period before the tragedy. After she married him, after she married Christopher Watts, they got the fuck out of town. She sold that house and needed to sell it, and they said, you know what? I'll buy it if you let me have every single piece of furniture in there. Sure. And she just needed to get the hell out of town. It was probably a move suggested by an attorney. Probably said, get the fuck out of town. They're not going to extradite you from this one state to another. They, you know, there probably wasn't a strong enough case. So she made the decision to leave town. Now, sounds like she worked as a receptionist for the Children's Hospital for 4 years. She worked out of her home office. She had to come into the Children's Hospital, I believe, once or twice a week, or whatever, just for, you know, when you work remotely, just get to go and say hey, hi to everybody. And so that is why her office looked like she lived in it, because she did the night shift, answering phone calls for the Children's Hospital. So, if I were working from home and worked nights, my office might indeed look like I live in it. My office right now does, right now. In fact, look like I live in it. I don't have a bed in here. I have it kind of set up to do sewing or scrapbooking or reading, adult coloring, you know, all that good stuff. Somebody could look at it and be like, oh, good God, does she live in here? Maybe. It's my babe cave, so fuck off. So she worked there, and it seemed like it worked. Now, something happened where she got bored, and it may or may not be after she became a mom and decided, this shit's for the birds. These things require 24/7 care, and I don't have time for this. I gotta put my makeup on, and I gotta do my nails, and I need to do all this stuff, and I have to have my me time and my mom time and everything, right? Sometime at that point, she started getting back into the MLMs that gave her this escapism. Escapism is an ism just like any other ism, and it is an addiction of sorts. You're chasing that dragon. You're wanting to make this sale to get that, right? Okay. So, she learned escapism. Did she have dissociative identity disorder? Like, I believe that Casey Marie Anthony exhibited the signs of somebody who did. I think SW exhibits quite a few signs of having did. I think that she love-bombed the F out of MLMs. I think that it really, she has an addictive personality, definitely, you know. She'll glob onto one thing and go with it, but it is rumored that she sold LuLaRoe. She sold those lashes. She sold lip scents. She sold those books. That's why she had all those books on that bookshelf. Not that she would take time to read them to the girls, but so she sold the Usborne books, sold LuLaRoe, sold lip scent, sold those eyelids, sold Monet. She's the first person, though, that I've seen that sells Monet that didn't have blonde extensions taped inside of a sombrero. Because you always see those Monet women with the big sombrero and blonde extensions, and I'd love to see their real hair. Because if you Google what Monet does in fact do to hair, well, it doesn't make it lustrous, and it's expensive, right? And how can we forget that she also indeed sold Thrive? Okay. So, in an arrangement where a husband and wife both work, as she was working, it seemed like it worked, right? Where she was bringing in enough money, or he was bringing in enough money, and she was able to control what she could do, you know, with the MLMs that she was rumored to be in, because she was rumored to be in several, right? Some point in there, she started getting real bored with being a mom, right? So she started doing weird shit. Weird shit, aka baby-wise. Anybody dared to question her on what she was doing? She's, no, my kids are trained. I read the Baby Weiss book. My friend told me about it, and it is the best thing that she could have ever done, because without it, I was not a great mom. I was having mistakes. I was making mistakes, and because I read Baby Weiss, my kids are now feed trained and sleep trained, and they are trained in my girls, and I'm going to train Cece from birth in the hospital. I'm going to train her. Anybody questioned her on locking up those girls for 15 hours out of a 24-hour day? She blamed it on Baby Weiss. Now, for those of you who can't add, you're going to come for me and you're going to say, 15 hours? No, she might have put him to bed a little bit early, but that's it. No. 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. is, in fact, 12 hours. Even though the midnight starts the whole thing over, and if you're doing military time, I know it's confusing. But that's 12 hours. Now, let's tack on that 3-hour nap, 12 to 3. Let's do 12 plus 3. Carry the 1 if you must, right? It's 15. Now, how many hours are in a day? 24? So, if you lock your kids up for 15 hours out of a 24-hour day, how many hours a day does that leave for learning, nurturing, bathing, playing, all of the things that a child should do? Child learns the most, more than anything they're ever going to know, in that first 5 years. So if they were in fact locked up for 15 out of 24 hours a day, the first 5 years of their life, what potential do you think that they would have for their lifetime learning capacity. You feel that those kids were stimulated and they played enough that they tired themselves out? Did you see them finger painting, running through sprinklers, making mud pies? No. But the one time when she had the squirt bottle, she was sitting on the deck and laughing. Yeah. She was sitting there with a squirt bottle, squirting, telling Bella, lift up your shirt so I could squirt your belly. And then, okay, let her do that. Okay, let her do that. Let her do that. That's not teaching a child how to figure things out. Let that child go out and run through a sprinkler with her sister, and you can sit there on your phone up on your frickin' deck. I'm sure that Cece and Bella wouldn't have given a F-bomb. Okay? Let them run. What was that play structure in the backyard for? So whenever you drive by and be like, wow. Right? I read the Baby Wise. I bought the Baby Wise books. I have dispelled any possibility that any of the weird things she was doing had nothing to do with Baby Wise. Okay? So that's over. That's done. You want to know what she did with it? In a former diagram that I have shown you before, there's something that a narcissist does. It's called narcissistic triangulation. It's a huge tool of a narcissist where they use emotional abuse. They create a toxic relationship. They do it to create conflict. They do it to manipulate and take advantage. She loved to do the 2-in-1. It's a narcissist's favorite sport. And yes, indeed, folks, it is my opinion that she, in fact, was the narcissist. And Christopher Watts exhibit narcissistic symptoms? Yes, he did. Which will happen in a dynamic where one person is victimized by a narcissist. The victim will, in fact, take on some of those traits. If we were to get into it, Christopher Watts looked like a narcissist, acted like a narcissist. Well, in reality, he was being abused by a narcissist, trying his best to keep up with a narcissist, most likely had Stockholm Syndrome, most likely had battered spouse syndrome. Let's say that Christopher said, well, I don't know. Do you really think that they need to go down for a nap? I don't know. They were... Baby Wise says it. Who? Baby Wise. Baby Wise. You know, Baby Wise. It was written by doctors, Christopher. Are you smarter than a doctor? What? Are you a doctor now? Is that what you are? Okay. These are my girls, and I say what goes, and I talked to the pediatrician about it, and I read this book. Christopher. Think he's going to ask again? No, because his wife read a book, and it's written by doctors, and the pediatrician said, huh? Right? It's crazy making. It's 2 against 1. She's got the Baby Wise, all these doctors, right? Did you talk to one of the pediatricians who was a co-author of the book? No. And you shall be on which page it says to do the weird-ass flowers in the attic crap that you do? Well, no, but who was going to come at her like that? Christopher's mom did. Yes, she did. Nutgate and Napgate were twirled together, much like my scepter here. Napgate, Nutgate. Because before Nutgate happened, and I learned this from watching the interview that Seeking the Truth with Dave did, with an impromptu interview with Cindy and Ronnie Watts about 2 weeks ago. And I did share that to my page. And it's a pivotal interview to watch. And Cindy says that Dylan was down by where the girls were trying to nap, or SW was trying to put him down for a nap, right? And SW was getting mad because Dylan was down there or whatever, and she was getting pissy because, you know how she doesn't want anybody to be around when the girls nap. At her house, she has those noise machines so that the girls can't hear anything on the outside, because Baby Wise says that. Baby Wise does not say that. In fact, Baby Wise says that when a child naps, they should hear the noises of their sibling coming home. They should hear the outdoor things so that they know that it's normal what's going on out there and they can relax when it is, in fact, a nap time, which is not in the schedule, what she said. Bottom line, SW was questioned, and you do not question the Queen of the Dirty fucking South. Don't do it. So he said, come on, Dylan, let's go, because Mel and Cece have to take a nap. And that's where he's like, yeah, they're not going to sleep if she's down here. Well, what had happened before, probably not too far before, maybe 20, 30 minutes or whatever, all of the cousins were enjoying seeing each other. This was like the first time that all of the kids had gotten together and they were playing wonderfully. Cindy and Ronnie had their grandchildren. They were playing and running, having fun. And what does SW come and do? Come on, Ella. Come on, Cece. It's time for your naps. Do the other kids have to get pulled away from playing so they can go take a nap? Were the girls acting tired at all? No. So Cindy, in not a malicious way at all, just says, why do they have to take a nap? They're having so much fun. Let them be. Like any grandparent is going to do. Well, that, my friend, is enough to be exiled. Exiled from the Queen of the Dirty South's realm. You do not question the Queen. Banish them all. Off with their heads. In fact, we would see a later text that refers to Cindy and Ronnie and their relationship with the grandchildren is that no, she will remove them from their lives for what they did. What did they do? Well, it's a bifurcated issue. It is a nutgate and it is a napgate, and here's why. Because SW went, sashayed down, put the girls down for their naps, and I'm sure that Cece and Bella were like, no, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Because they knew that Grandma and Grandpa were going to have their backs, and they're like, no, I don't want to go. So SW's like, little fuckers, don't chip my nail. Lay down. Shut up. It's 12 o'clock. It's 12:02 now, you little shits. Little monsters. Little thieves. But then Dylan probably followed and was like, where are they going? Where are they going? And SW comes out and probably sees Cindy. Because Cindy didn't explain exactly how it went. So I'm just kind of, making this play out in my head. And so SW's probably shutting the door and then giving the death stare to Dylan. And Cindy was probably like, come on, Dylan, come on. And SW's like, yeah, because if she's here, then the girls aren't going to nap. And, Cindy was like, yeah, okay, come on, Dylan, let's go. Because it was in Cindy's instincts to protect her other grandchildren from the Queen. Okay? Well, SW was a huffing and a puffing, and she was pregnant and not happy about it because things weren't going her way, let's just say that. Her whole world was crumbling down. She may or may not have been carrying a baby that was not her husband's. Her Colorado home that she shared with Christopher Watts was going to go into foreclosure, and she didn't know if he was going to be able to find that out because she had NA, her largest enabler, get in the mail, so Christopher wouldn't be able to see what was in the mail. But what if NA didn't get there soon enough and Christopher got a piece of mail and saw that the house is in foreclosure and calls, and why is the house in foreclosure? Huh? Okay. SW was fuming inside, and this, you know, she didn't like Christopher by this point. She certainly did not like his parents. She didn't want them to have anything to do with her girls. She just done. Why? Because Cindy dared to frickin' say something. So then what happens next that we know of? Not that, I don't think it was that afternoon. I think it was the next day. I'm sure that SW got on and told everybody about how much she hates her in-laws and whatnot because they said that, and probably wasn't going over very well. They're probably like, well, you know, you are a little bit neurotic about those nap schedules. Like, why didn't you let them have fun? So she was probably mad as hell because no one was taking her side, right? Well, lo and behold, the next situation that happened, probably the next day, maybe the same afternoon, I don't know. I don't know all the details, right? Well, it is rumored that the ice cream that Cindy Watts had was pistachio. I thought that's the way that the thing went. I was told in the comments that I'm wrong, that it was not pistachio or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So whatever the fuck kind of ice cream it had a certain kind of nut that Cece Arbella could not have. And the reason why I'm asking about Cece Arbella is because now there are pictures out there that are showing that both girls had these massive freaking welts for their allergy testing. I mean, both of them had it really severely. Now, I know it's for Cece, but I don't know what all Bella's allergies entailed. So SW flew off the frickin' handle seeing that ice cream because she had been explicitly telling Cindy Watts what kind of food she could have in that house when the girls were there and what she couldn't. And Cindy got, this has gotten so ridiculous in Nutgate because somehow there's tree nuts and there's this nut and whatever, right? So if you're Cindy Watts and, you know, you're having your grandkids over, whatever, you're doing this, and you know that Cece can't have peanuts, peanut butter, peanut allergy, that's what you know she has a nut allergy, why would you think pistachio? Just put yourself in her thing for a second. Because there are pictures that show that SW had one of the largest jars of peanut butter I've ever seen in my life in her pantry. So if it was peanuts, okay, and I know I'm going to get all these people, well, that's not it. I mean, do your research and everything. You know what? I'm propped up on cold medicines. I'm doing the best that I can, trying to convey this story. So just give me a little slack here. I'm making a point, and it's a different point. Whatever it was, the ice cream that Cindy had bought was then taken as an attempt on Cece's life. That SW charged at her and said, you just tried to kill my daughter. You tried to kill my daughter. In front of the other grandchildren. Nutgate and Napgate. One connects with the other. One had her festering and couldn't get her the attention she wanted. The other was simple, because then she could get on her social media. She had 1 million nut allergy pages that she was in and had all of the nut allergy mafia behind her online. And she could go in there and say what happened. Not giving the whole story, not, you know, whatever. But she could just say, oh my God, my mother-in-law just tried to kill my child. She tried to just give her this, and she knew that this would kill her granddaughter. And without anybody having the text the way it was or how it was or anything, you just have this vision in your head then that, you know, you got this evil grandmother strapping this child down, you know, shoving nuts in her mouth. And no. She used the girl's illnesses as a weapon to exhibit further control and manipulation against others. Triangulation. Christopher didn't even understand all of the allergy things. I have many, many allergies. I'm non-compliant. I've already told you guys all that. I just get sick all the time. I don't obsess about all the allergies I have. But she did, because then it was a way for her to get attention online. And when she gets attention online, she lives for it. So with one little post, she probably had, you know, she joined every single, she got kicked out of several groups, okay, online for her shenanigans. But let's say that she did that and she ran and put that thing in there. She would have had people private messaging her saying that they have her back. Go mama bear. Don't back down. Don't back down. My God, how horrible. What ignorant people. And she's like, yep, see that, Christopher? See, your mom's ignorant, huh? Look at that. Everybody says your mom is wrong. Does anybody for a second think that Cindy Watts intentionally tried to hurt anybody? No, I don't either. Did the MLM make her act like that? Did the MLM make her charge at her mother-in-law and accuse her mother-in-law of trying to murder her child in front of these children? Or did she, in fact, do that and she's responsible for those actions? She did. She weaponized illnesses so that she could act like she was the best mom in the world. She was so protected. And look at her in the doctor's office. And look at Bella playing doctor with her and everything. No. That is not the action of a good parent. You know why you don't see videos like that of kids in the doctor's office and playing doctor and all that stuff? You know why you don't see that? You know why you don't see kids on the scale with every vertebrae showing? Because the parent who's with that child is actively engaged with their child, not actively engaged with a phone. Did the MLM make SW take pictures of Bella on the scale and Bella's cringing like in a fetal position, trying to hide and look up? She doesn't want the picture taken. Did the MLM make her do that? No. So then you say, well, yeah, but it's different because with the other one, that Rive, whatever, yeah, like they forced her and there was so much pressure. And I know because I've been like in an MLM and they are like pressure and I have all these people saying that I have to do this and I have to do this. Okay. How many of you decided to sign up for an MLM and use every single dollar that your husband gets up at the crack of dawn to go and earn. And then use every dollar that he earns to buy product so that you can buy your way up in the pyramid, and that you can buy enough to rank better, and you can buy enough to qualify for another vacation. Did Rive sit there and do that? No, she did, because it was a front, no different than Baby Wise was. Who told her to treat those kids like that? Baby Wise. She wasn't responsible for her actions. Baby Wise made her do that, don't you know? Yeah, read Baby Wise and tell me what page it is, because I did, and it isn't there. So you show me where Rive says there and says, take all of the money that your husband makes and put it into our business so then you can act like you earned this. Wow, that sounds like taking money from somebody that isn't yours. That kind of sounds like embezzlement from your own husband. It's betrayal. Now, how did the MLM maker do that? It didn't. She is not a victim of an MLM. She made those decisions. She alone is responsible for her decisions. Well, yeah, but she bought all that so that then she could have it downstairs and sell it. Well, was it selling? But no, because she didn't have to do anything, because she had a downline. No, she didn't. Her downline consisted of her husband, her mother and father-in-law, her parents. Not supposed to do that. In fact, she used the MLM to gain more friends and make it all about her. When you look through these text messages, what is she talking about? Her constipation, her cramps, her not feeling good, but she wants to screw. Her this and this and this, but if you tell her to go to the doctor, oh, she's out of network. What you said isn't true. She did not do the work. When people asked her, they said, hey, well, somebody said something about this, and I don't know how. She said, call Addie. And then she continues on about herself. I'm like, well, but yeah, but this person said this. You know what? Call Addie. And then blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's there. She wasn't out there going and explaining how this works and whatnot, because she didn't know. All she knows, is how much money do I have to put into this so that then I will ring the bell and be able to go to another vacation, because the vacation was another form of escapism. And there's a lot of isms in that family, whether it is alcoholism, narcissism, escapism. After I got laid off in the pandemic, I started selling for 2 MLMs. One of them, which I've shared, is Tupperware. My husband loves Tupperware. So we needed a bunch of Tupperware anyway, because we had moved into, our next phase of life house, and hadn't moved for, 6 or 7 years before that. So 6 or 7 years with 3 teenagers that you own, and then all of the strays that came in during COVID and everything else. My house was eating Tupperware lids. My washing machine eats socks. My house ate Tupperware lids. So when I went to pack, I decided nothing that doesn't have a lid is coming with me. So I had about 4 things that matched up with a lid and 5,200 lids and, 6 bowls. And I'm like, what am I going to do? My husband's like, oh, let's go, to the farmer's market and get some Tupperware. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just sign up to freaking sell it because then we can get the discount. And I know people are like, oh, yeah, that's an excuse to get the discount. Well, it is for Tupperware because I love Tupperware. So I did it because I needed to buy a bunch of stuff anyway, and I was really confused because you don't make that much. They had just went and they revamped and they did everything because during the pandemic, they sold out of Tupperware because everybody was cooking at home again and they had time to clean. We're in the same situation I was. So Tupperware was like delayed. Like the orders were like taking 6+ months and then wrong and everything. And so then they had a whole revamp to their system. So they went all electronic. So I got in at kind of a bad time because it wasn't like, you sit there and you get all these orders from everybody and then you get it, and then you drive it around to people and whatnot. It was a little bit different. And because of our world and the way that it is, shipping is exorbitant and tax is exorbitant. So if you make 25% of every sale you make, when you're ordering that in, you're paying shipping and tax. So you might make 10%. And I mean, for all the time that you put it in processing that order, bringing it, blah, blah, blah. You don't make any money with Tupperware. Unless you get people to buy from your personalized website. And when they buy from your personalized website, then they're paying the shipping and they're paying the tax and whatnot. And then, you get a little kickback and then you go and invest it back into whatever, or whatever. When people see the cost of shipping and handling and tax, they back out. They won't order. I can't say I blame them. I wasn't successful. Well, what did I do? Did I go and take the finances of the family by the horns and say, yeah, okay, so just put your check here, hubby, and have a good day at work. Make sure you pack a lunch because I don't want you paying for anything, and can you work out a little bit more because I need it to look like you're working out more so I can take some pictures and say that, wow, we're a happy, healthy family and really trim. And then I'll put on my jogging shoes and it can look like we're a really fit family. Okay? And then I would take all of his money and instead of making the house payment, the HOA payment, the electric, the water, the bills, car payment, whatever. Put that in. And then, hey, you know what? Tupperware ladies earn this kind of a car. Yeah, okay, so let's say that it's a Subaru and then I can find out that I can get, a purple Subaru and I can say that that's what I earned from Tupperware. Well, can you go and sign me up for a lease for this? Because I want to tell everybody that I got my purple Subaru by selling Tupperware. And then I'm going to tell everybody that I make all this money from Tupperware. Because at this point I'd be talking to myself because my husband would think that I'd lost my mind if I would have told him. And then I would sit down to dinner with my husband and look at him and think, wonder how long we're going to be able to sit at this table because soon we're not going to have a house. What is he going to do when he finds out that he's been working and I've been using all of his money to buy Tupperware? And my whole basement, I've got about $25,000 worth of Tupperware. But I may tell him that people can come here and buy it because then they can resell it. I'm going to give him samples of Tupperware too. And then I'm going to go to the Tupperware Jubilee and I'm going to tell him that I earned it. And then I'm going to tell him that I earned the airfare because that sucker, I've got his check. And I'm going to tell him that, yeah, I just won another all expenses paid vacation. I'm going to tell everybody on Facebook too. I'm going to go stand by my car that I pretend that I earned and say that I am going to the big Tupperware conference and another vacation and another vacation and another vacation. And I'm going to have somebody else take the picture so I can smile real big. And I'm going to tell those little fuckers running around here that they need to come out and smile too. And say, hey, look at us. We are this happy family because I sell Tupperware. Did I do that? No. Did Tupperware tell me to do that? No. Who would have told me to do that? Me, myself, and I. Because no one else would bite off on that. Tell my mother-in-law to sign up and buy enough each month that she'll make me active. She did that to Cindy and Ronnie. She made them be having to pay for Rive. And I think that wasn't her sister-in-law too. So she had her downline consisting of mainly family members. And I could hear everybody out there, no, she had a huge downline. She did all of that. She did all... Well, was she using her downline to teach them how to sell? What about that product was going to make them successful? Was she building that downline so that she could sit and relax and live off the downline that she created by going and building everybody else up? Did she answer those questions? Did she go in there and talk to that person who had reservations about buying and have her come in there, and take those tough calls? No. So who made her do this? Who made her take all of CW's money that he got up at the crack of dawn, got the girls ready for? Because ultimately, we know in the last period of time before the tragedy, they were going to daycare/school. So Christopher would wake up at the crack of dawn, get the girls ready, drive them to the school, work out either before or after work, I don't remember. Come home, tired from working on a big day and whatnot, but he'd sit down with the girls and have dinner, I guess. And then he would probe them with a thermometer as per instruction from SW, not from Babywise. Give them their medication as per her, not from Babywise, not from the pediatrician. Bathe them, put them to bed, go and do their laundry, and make sure to hang up each piece of laundry, as he said, so it wouldn't be there. And then he'd go to bed and wake up and do it all again. Well, what did she do? Well, she put the definition of stay-at-home mom to the test. She was staying at home and she was a mom. She gave birth. But I saw her standing by the stove and she was stirring shit. Yeah, that's when her mom lived there, and her mom is apparently an amazing chef. Her mom now has this beautiful outdoor kitchen with a wood fire pizza oven and everything. So, oh, she was an amazing cook. Did you eat at her house? Why? Because you saw a picture of her stirring some shit? Before the girls were in daycare, Her mom and dad lived with them for more than a year and a half. So did her parents approve of this weird nap schedule? I don't know. Sometimes I see Grandpa Efru. I kind of see him sometimes as a good grandpa, and it looks like he's, looking at the girls with love, and I don't think he would have approved of what his daughter was doing. So we don't know much about that time period of when she was there and he was there. But it might have been a really good time for the girls. Because when she was left alone with them, she started this weird shit. So he went and he did all that. Now what happened to his money? For those of you in the back, what happened to the money? She got on the computer and figured out where every single vacation was going to be. And she sat there and figured out how much money she would need to be able to go to each. And that's where Christopher Watson money went. House payment, house schmayment. Who needs to pay the house schmayment? Especially if long term you're not planning on staying with that man. Especially if when you go on these vacations, you have a lot of fun with another man. A lot of people noticed the way that she treated each girl differently. And there's rumor and speculation, allegedly, that Cece is not CW's. The people who send picture montages to me, they have a good, strong argument to say it. I don't know. But I think that'd be pretty shitty to use and exploit a man like that. That, my friends, is a definition of emasculation. Wouldn't we all wish to be so lucky ourselves, or our daughters, to have a man in their lives who was raised to be a very good, strong father, husband, and provider. So loyal that he never questioned her. He knew what would happen. She'd beat him all the way out and lock him outside again. Right? Who made her do this? Who made her beat him up and put him out on the porch once till he could be good? Did an MLM? No. Who made her make the decisions to not make the house payment, not make the HOA payment? Who made her do that? She did. She's not so good with money, right? We're talking back to when she was the reigning queen of the Dirty South. Remember that little money situation I told you about before? How she took a little top off to herself? There's a pattern here. And it wasn't an MLM who made her do it at the Dirty South. And it wasn't an MLM that made her do it when she lived on Saratoga Trail. She did that. She is responsible for it. No MLM made her do anything. Now, she used the MLM to excuse her behavior for going on so many vacations. If she had just been straight up just going to all these vacations, what do you think people would have thought? Because image was everything to her, right? Put it on Facebook, put it out there that you're picture perfect. What would have happened if she would have just been mapping it out and be like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here because I don't want to have all those little shits. I'm going to go on a vacation here, I'm going to go on a vacation there, I'm going to go on a vacation there. Why would she be able to say she was going on so many vacations? And how could Christopher think that they could afford all these vacations? Step in MLM. Step in scapegoat. Her parenting bullshit was her own. It was not blamed from, it was not Baby Wise. She said it was Baby Wise. She's going on so many vacations. Who's she going to blame it on? Well, the MLMs, I can't say no to these vacations. I mean, they're free, right? Who's going to turn down a free vacation? It wasn't free. It cost her everything. It cost her daughters everything, too, if you want to argue that. It cost the whole family everything. Her actions. Not an MLM. Don't come for me and say, are you saying that she deserved to get? No. She had a chance to get help for her mental issues more than once. Why did she not? Because she chose not to. And her choices created a very chaotic situation. Does that mean that what happened to her is justified? No, not at all. But we don't really know what happened now, do we? So without truly knowing what happened, how can I say or be blamed for saying that she deserved it? I didn't. I don't. What I am saying is it is ridiculous to continue to feed into the lies. That when these things pass by from, the person who's running the propaganda machine and that, whatever, and they'll pop up a picture and there'll be 100 comments under it. Go to the Instagram page, look too. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to go find it yourself. There'll be 30 to 100 comments underneath. And they're like, oh, I wish she was still here. I would be her friend. Oh my gosh, I love her. I miss her. Oh wow, she was so much to this world. I wish that there wasn't MLMs. I wish MLMs weren't allowed. MLMs ruined her. If only her flight was a different time, then she'd still be alive. If only she was alive, I would have been her friend, and I would have been her mentor, and I would have said this. Did you see what she did to Cindy Watts? She villainized the woman. This woman exploited MLMs. If anybody's the victim here, it's the frickin' MLMs. She used those as her excuse for the excessive travel and for her not being an active part of her girls' lives because she was on vacation all the time. We'll just call it that for the ways that she behaved. In her head, she was on vacation too. She wasn't sitting there loving every minute, but I saw these pictures and she's holding them. Yeah, what'd she do once the camera wasn't on? Put them down for their nap, right? 15 hours. You tell me, and if somebody wants to come for me and tell me that, oh yeah, well, there is, so that, then maybe you're saying that you're a person who puts your kids to bed and for naps for 15 hours a day, and you don't count. You can't be a part of this discussion, because if you're defending it and you think that that's okay, maybe that's what you're doing with your kids and you're the problem. There are FTC guidelines in which you can and cannot state that the product that you are representing can have an effect upon. The FTC does not allow you to make health claims against a product. The things that she claimed go against FTC guidelines and what is and isn't acceptable. The things that she put on Facebook and that she said would have been sanctioned by the FTC. She would have lost her job at the MLM because the MLM would have been fined for every single thing that she said, and each time is a violation of $10,000 each. Any health claim. How many health claims did she say? Now, MLMs know that, and they have it in their policy and procedure to not make false claims. So was it the MLM telling her to do it? No, It was her. It's not the airline's fault for getting her at a certain time or not. It is not the MLM's fault. She was an adult woman making very bad and unfair decisions towards other human beings. Was she doing all of these MLMs for the best interest of her children? All of these people that she got, it was just all about her getting attention. She used the MLM excuse to say why she was hanging out with this friend, and she was hanging out with this friend, and she was going with this friend. She was, are you a teenager having a slumber party? How many grown adult women with 2 children do you know have that many friends and that much time to sit there and text? Not one of those other women had enough time for her, which is why she had 15 people she was talking to at any given time, because each of them would need to go and do something like, you know, care for their children, make a meal, study their product, go and try to recruit others further down the line. She used Christopher Watson. She used his money. She used that family. In the interview that Seeking the Truth with Dave did, with the impromptu interview with Cindy and Ronnie Watts, it is heartbreaking because Cindy says that she blames herself for not being strong enough, that she wasn't strong enough to stand up to her daughter-in-law, that for the wedding and everything, she couldn't stand up to her, that she couldn't stand up to her when she charged at her in her own house. She blames herself for not being strong enough. She breaks down and cries when she talks about it. Ronnie took off. Ronnie yeeted out of there. He ran off the interview and mumbled some stuff. Ronnie couldn't deal with it. He couldn't deal with the emotion. He just ran and tried to disappear. And in that moment, you see a snapshot, a little glimpse into what it was like for Christopher Watts trying to deal with that woman. Did he run off and cry the first 25 times that she did something horrible to the girls? Did he try to defend it and say that it wasn't right? What'd she do? She punished the girls further? She began to really take things out on Bella. Bella was old enough to start showing her own independence. Bella was starting to be able to say the word no. When you really look at these videos and you see, she's like, say hi to so-and-so, say hi to so-and-so, say have a good day to so-and-so, say this and that, say that. That is not normal behavior. A child should be able to say what a child knows what to say and feels like saying. She treated those girls like she was a master of puppets. Like she had her hand up their frickin' ass, moving their mouth and telling them what to say. Well, say this, Charlie. Say that, Charlie. Have you ever seen or heard anybody do that to their children? I can say that in a situation where you're teaching your children manners, and you say, hey, say thank you. Say thank you. You know, someone gives your child something, or you're at grandma's, whatever. Hey, say thank you, you know. That's when that is appropriate. Otherwise, you are not doing a service as a mother. Sit there and use your kids like puppets and tell them what to say while they are looking at a phone. They don't understand. They were not old enough to conceptualize that a whole other person is in that screen and in that, and that this is what they're supposed to say, and this is what they're supposed to say. So because Bella started being able to say no, Bella became that problem child. Everything. Oh, Bella couldn't run. Bella couldn't jump. Cece could. Oh, Cece was just a ball of energy, and she couldn't do a thing about it. Cece was just out of control. Cece was bored. The girls were bored. She did not provide a home that had a stimulating environment because she didn't want to get messed up. And then you have these people who are highly impressionable out there going, I want to be just like her. Her house was so clean. I want my house to be just like that. And because of her, I want to be a better woman. And because of her, I'm doing this. And because of her. No. She locked her kids up so they wouldn't mess up the freaking house. You know how nice my house would look if I were to lock them up for 15 hours out of 24? Hmm? And in that 8 hours, combine 3 meals and a bath? Hmm? Yeah. Stop making excuses for her. It's time. The truth is out there. It is important for us to continue to share the truth. When people sit there and pick apart what a creator says and nitpick and nitpick and nitpick about little tiny details, myopic details, they're not doing a very good job of getting to the goal. And the goal is understanding what happened, why it happened, and how can we prevent it from happening again. It is not about who makes the most super chat, who has the most subs. The goals of myself and others that are truly interested in the truth of the matter are few and far between because people's egos have gotten in the middle and they are spreading rumors that are just ridiculous and very irresponsible. Those are the ones that people should go and focus on and say, hey, this isn't even close to being truth. Where did you find this? Right? I heard a while back that SW couldn't cut an apple for Cece or Bella or whatever because she wasn't allowed to have knives in the house. Well, when I was looking at a picture of her the other day, when I was admiring the backsplash, I saw this beautiful set of knives that she had right there. Just standing on this huge set of knives. And the girls are like in their high chairs or whatever. So it's not like it was before or after. Those are the kinds of things to pay attention to. So, with that, I would like to do a reading from my book so we can get a little bit closer in understanding how she was able to get this type of control over Christopher Watts and what she did to her in-laws. Thank you guys for being patient with my voice where I sound like a teenage boy. I'm drinking hot tea, lots of it. I put on my community page too. I'll show you. So I'm drinking this again. I'm drinking the Jade Citrus Mint and the Peach Tranquility. And I have it in a big old venti cup. So, they're not supposed to be for hot drinks, but you guys know I don't follow rules. So, I don't know if you guys have ever had that, you know, when you're sick, and a Starbucks is known, like, people call it the sore throat tea or whatever, right? Well, that's what it is. It is Jade Citrus and Peach Tranquility. And then what I did, because they also steam lemonade to put it in there, so you get a little dose of vitamin C too. So for the 20-ounce venti cup, I put in 4 tea bags. So, like, I like my tea a little bit strong. So, to get all those flavors in there, 4. So for 20 ounces, I put in 4 tea bags and 1 packet of instant lemonade. At Starbucks, they actually steam the lemonade to go into it. But I didn't feel like using my frother, my Nespresso, and everything else, so I just added it in with the hot water. I get these packets of instant lemonade from the Dollar Tree. They're like Welch's instant lemonade packets. So that's helping. And then the one I just finished up, what did I have? I had the chai tea, pumpkin spice. Oh, I had that one too. And Latazo pumpkin spice. And I put pumpkin spice creamer in that one. I like cream in my tea. I'm out of Jell-O. I'm out of Jell-O. So, let me see here. We will do... Okay, so if we do this, one more time to tie it up. The narcissist triangulation. Narcissistic triangulation. She used, so she could make excuses for what she was going on the vacations for, was the MLM. Triangulation is a game a narcissist plays to always go 2 against 1. Okay? So she used the MLM and herself against Christopher. MLM and herself against the mother-in-law. MLM and herself against anybody who dared to ask anything about Ollie's vacations or her spending. She would say it's the MLM. She would. Okay? Her parenting. Her and Baby Wise. Okay? She turned... And when she first got with Christopher, she turned her and him against his parents. So it was SW and CW against Christopher Watt's mother, Cindy. When she got all of the friends through the MLMs, she could use those. So then she'd have, what, all of the friends that we can list off right now. Because it took a whole village to frickin' get her to do anything. Because it took a whole village of people to pay attention to her because she was really needing a lot of attention. So then it would be this MLM friend, this MLM friend, this MLM friend, and her against Christopher. We saw that in the text. She'd be writing all this stuff about what a horrible man he was because he wouldn't have sex with her, People say it was a perfect marriage. She was using this friend. Well, and this friend said this, Christopher. This friend said this, Christopher. This friend said this, Christopher. Come here, you little fuck. Let me put another sticker on you. You're malfunctioning again. I think you're broken. Right? So then, when she initially got married, it was her and him against the world, right? Well, that eroded because she got bored with him. It wasn't his fault. She just simply got bored. Narcissists need a lot of feed. They're emotional vampires. And they walk into a room and they take every single bit of energy for themselves. absolute 1000% emotional vampires. Without further ado, you guys hear me writing? I have to make notes on everything. Also, there's some lightning and thunder out there, so if you hear that, it's not my tummy rumbling. Okay, so we are at this really good point here because we are to the point in the relationship where we know that the separation had begun. We know that around February or March is when the fights were getting so bad that Christopher was no longer under her complete control. And inside she was scared because she didn't know what he would do once he started asking questions. What is she going to do? How is she going to explain what she's done with their money? How's she going to explain? What was her long-term plan of losing the house? She's going to move back to North Carolina and act like everything is normal? Not let anybody know about the big foreclosure? How was she going to explain that to all of her MLM and Facebook friends? These are the facts, folks. This is what really happened. That house was going into foreclosure because of all the money she put into it. She did. Oh, here's another point before I go into this. If the MLMs victimized her so much and that the people who want to have SWs back and blame the MLMs for what happened to her, ask them this question. If that is in fact true, then why did her parents pick up where she left at her MLM goal? Her parents were able to take her spot, what she had put into it, and go and continue to sell the same MLM. So, if the MLM victimized and ruined that family according to the haters, ask them why then did her parents continue on with that same company and continue to sell? Doesn't make sense, does it? With the triangulation, when she was doing Amway with her daddy, she was against her mom. Her mom didn't have much of an influence on her in the teenage years. We know that. She said that she didn't have anybody. She told that teacher she didn't have anybody. But she didn't have any love at home. So this whole thing about this, whatever. And then all this stuff about the brother. How many times had the brother even met Bella or Cece? You all know the answer. Why would she have kept her brother away from her children if he was so wonderful? Huh. It's almost like there's something there she was trying to keep her girls away from. Sipping that tea. So, while we're looking at this, we can say that he was losing control. And you see, where she's sitting there and she's on the phone and she's saying, I'm going to be a better this. Then I'm not going to listen to the haters. And I'm going to be this. And she's like talking about what she's going to, do forward with the MLMs. And she's just pregnant. And you see Christopher, the one on the floor. Christopher is the one sitting down at child level playing with the children. He's not looking at her. He's got his back to her. She films over there and she says, she's going to be a better mom and she's going to do all this and everything. Well, get up off the couch, sit down with the girls, or sit down and interact with them. Don't sit on the other side of the room and talk about what you're going to be. That was showing right there. Christopher had his back to her. He couldn't even look at her. Do you think that's because he suspected that she wasn't pregnant with his child? But she said that, you know, she was this far along and, you know. So he was starting to come out of the spell, her control, everything. He was breaking out of it. He was starting to see the light. And this is where it brings us to our book called Controlling People by Patricia Evans. How to recognize, understand, and deal with people who try to control you. We are actually at chapter 8. And chapter 8 is called The Spell. Good people can fall under the spell's influence. Okay? So we can say that, you know, Christopher Watts was raised to be a good man. His parents put him through automotive school for NASCAR. He was a NASCAR mechanic with $25,000 in his bank account and a beautiful Mustang that he loved. He was a good and responsible man, and I do believe that he was a virgin when he met her. I did say that, and I had people telling me that I was wrong, that he was with an older woman before who had just gotten out of a divorce, and they had done the horizontal mamba. But I think that he was a virgin when he met her. I thought that she took his virginity away, so maybe, maybe not. But we are talking about when he was starting to come out of the spell. So without further ado, here we go. He was the good people can fall under the spell's influence. Christopher Watts was a good people. A good person. Good people. Why do well-intentioned people, people who believe they're doing what's right, define others? What compels someone to break through another person's psychic boundary and disregarding it altogether? Isn't it enough to just be in charge of one's own reality, mind, body, and spirit? If a person pretends to know someone else's inner world, aren't they under the influence of some illusion? Something like a spell? Wouldn't they otherwise feel infantile, embarrassed, or at the very least silly? Wouldn't they stop as soon as they were reminded of what they were doing? When people forge illusory connections to others, making them up as if they lived within them, the connections, although absurd, seem so very real to their makers, as if they were under a spell. I would say that there is a spell, and the Teddy illusion is part of it. I believe that possibly no one is completely free of the spell's influence at all times and in all circumstances. I also believe that one of our greatest desires is to be free from its illusory illusions, and that such freedom will come out of our curiosity, our burning desire to know and to understand. In the following story, we will look more closely at the possibility of a spell at work and how a person seemingly under its influence casts another person into a role not of their own choosing. The Corn Story, Part 1. At a farmer's market on a recent Saturday morning in a nearby town, I stood in line behind a well-dressed elderly couple waiting to buy corn. When their turn came, I heard the woman ask for 24 ears of corn. They were being sold at 3 ears for $1. She handed over 2 $10 bills. When she received her change, she expressed a surprise because it included one of the $10 bills. Wow, I didn't think I'd get this much back for 24 ears, she said, laughing. Guess it's too early in the morning to figure it out. Suddenly, everyone's attention was riveted on the man with her as he shouted angrily, She can't even count the goddamn change. The woman, seemingly as shocked by his roaring declaration where the bystanders were silent. But she seemed stunned. As the couple left, the people in line behind me began to talk about what the man had said. They expressed their shock and some dismay. Someone said that they thought he was ranting. Someone else said he was swearing. As I thought about the incident, I found it most significant that the husband, I did find out later that they were married, pretended that his wife couldn't count change and acted as if that fact appalled and infuriated him. Moreover, it seemed as if he were restricted in some way from finding out what appalled him might not be true. If he hadn't been restricted, wouldn't he have asked his wife in a private moment, if she were having trouble counting change? If he thought she was, wouldn't he want to check it out? Wouldn't he feel sad and concerned for her? Wouldn't that be more humane behavior? I think that whatever held him back from behaving rationally and from finding out the truth about his wife added to his fury. Whatever it was, it had a tremendous hold on him, so much so that it was as if he were under a spell. I wouldn't blame his behavior on a spell, nor excuse him for it, nor say that he was not responsible for it, but its influence was so great that it was like a spell. The spell blinded the man to the fact that only his wife could know when and if she could count change, and to the fact that her knowledge of herself was within an inaccessible space. Her personal reality was unknowable. The man seemed to think that he knew his wife's inner world, but unless he checked it out and asked her, how could he? Like in the people in the previously mentioned stories, this man had it backwards. He acted as if he could do the impossible, define his wife before she defined herself to him. I thought it even more amazing that he was enraged by his own fabrication. I've seen that when people act in ignorance for what seems to be a spell, it becomes stronger. If they continue their backward approaches to the extreme with nothing to stop them, no sign that says backwards, wrong way, they fall more and more under the spell and its influence, and their behavior becomes increasingly bizarre. While some people have an inner stop or a red light that halts extreme behavior, some people don't, and some run red lights. The phenomenon of approaching people backwards can begin innocuously, but it can quickly become dangerous, not only to the people who are defined, but also to the people who do the defining. Has a spell affected their reason? Has something like a spell adversely impacted their ability to live satisfying, healthy lives? Let's keep our spotlight on the spell and see what we can discover. The corn story, part 2. After buying a dozen of ears of corn myself, I took them out to my car in the lot next to the market. A man putting some bags in the trunk of the car next to mine looked up and said, "Are you leaving now?" "No," I said with a slight question in my voice. Sensitively, he noticed my tone and quickly explained himself. "I want to make sure you have enough room to back out and that I hadn't parked too close." "Oh, I've got plenty of room, thanks," I said. I recognized him. He was the man who'd been taken over by rage or possibly the spell a few minutes before. He seemed so different now. I wanted to be sure it was him. "Were you in line buying corn?" I asked. My wife, the war zone, was, he said ferociously, chameleon-like. He'd changed from a sensitive person into a growling one. Stunned, I thought, I gotta say something. He's just defined her again. The people in line are talking about what they heard you say about your wife, I said evenly. His mouth actually dropped open and he said nothing. My statement had invited him to reflect upon his behavior. I went back to finish my shopping. Maybe, just for a moment, he saw himself mirrored in the eyes of another. I don't know if I shattered his illusions and broke the spell he seemed to be under, but a spell, in fact, is a way to describe a collection of illusions, including the Teddy illusion. The word spell gives the collection of illusions a name so that we can begin to talk about them. The coming chapters will reveal the illusions, the depth of the spell, and the compelling force behind it. The people with backwards approaches in the story smile. You read too much. And the corn story. Acted foolishly. Whether harmlessly or harmfully, in all cases they seem to be unaware of the absurdity of their own behavior and consciousness of their own motives. Instead, they seem to be convinced of their righteousness. Automatically, often harmlessly, such phrases as smile, it's a nice day, or you read too much, spatter us like rain, not necessarily seeping in nor dampening our spirit, but deserving our awareness. If we don't heed this rain, it can become a torrent. Our spirit, like fire, can be dampened. It can die down. When people tell us how we are and how we do or what we should do, they practice a dangerous kind of sorcery. Even when you don't believe another person's definition of you, their disregard of your individuality can disturb your well-being. A couple came to me for a consultation. Kurt and Dora both seemed happy and wanted a happy relationship. But every now and then something happened. In this case, Dora described one particular thing Kurt had said that really bothered her. Kurt couldn't remember the incident, but Dora insisted she knew it had happened. Kurt said it hadn't. At this point, I didn't know whom to believe. Usually when someone is very upset over an incident and describes it in detail, what is bothering them, and why they have felt hurt, as Dora did, some kind of an assault has actually taken place. Although Kurt could have been connected in a backwards way to Dora, I wasn't sure. Then Kurt turned to me and said, "After couples counseling, we usually leave hating each other." I saw the stricken look on Dora's face. It wasn't his casualness that struck her. It was that he'd said that she'd felt hate towards him, as if he were within her and knew her feelings. As it turned out, she hadn't felt hate or anything like it. She had come to my office out of pain and frustration and confusion. She wanted to love and be loved, but before she could have a loving relationship with Kurt, Kurt would have to see her as a separate person. As if he were beside himself, and in Dora, Kurt had defined her inner reality, obliterating it and replacing it with his version, all in an effort to make light conversation about their situation, and he didn't see her pain. Dora had long struggled to get him to see what she was doing, or what he was doing. She hadn't lost her spirit. It was simply draining her through the open wounds of such invasions. and no one had noticed, least of all her husband. Unless we know about the spell, people under its influence might convince them of their rightness, and we may find ourselves under their influence. If we are under their influence, we can lose not only knowledge of ourselves, but also our spirit. The following tale shows how this can happen. A Tale of Two Women. Once upon a time, there was a woman who felt the amazing grace of a transcendent moment filled within her extraordinary peace and joy. She recalled a time in her childhood when her mother had reminded her, "The kingdom of heaven is within." These words took on a meaning and depth that she had never known before, and from time to time when she felt the need, she recalled her transcendent experience and again felt renewed and supported. A second woman, like the first, felt the special grace of a transcendent moment filled with extraordinary peace and joy. After a time, too, she had felt a need for renewal and support. As was her custom, she went to those who said that they were the authorities in all matters of the spirit. The authorities then told her that they held the key to the kingdom she sought. And she said, okay. She didn't doubt them. They did not doubt themselves. But she had given up her key. Because she believed them, she fell under their influence and ultimately under their control. Clearly, it's not only a day-to-day training that can keep us from our inner knowing, but also our beliefs. If we believe that others are the authority on our inner experience, we doubt ourselves and become subject to others' definitions of us. And we are subject to their control of us. Most people who are under the influence of the spell say that they do not intend to exert control over anyone. But what compels oppressive behavior? Although it has been said that people who try to control other people suffer from low self-esteem, this is not necessarily true of people with oppressive behaviors. Even those who do have low self-esteem have the option of choosing another way to raise it. Aren't there many ways to feel better about oneself? Why not make a sale? Paint a picture. Clean out the garage. Work as a volunteer. Learn something new. The sense of accomplishment derived from such endeavors brings satisfaction and goes a long way towards tempering, even eradicating, negative feelings about oneself. Why attempt to control others instead? Clearly, the issue of self-esteem is not the primary cause of oppressive behavior. People don't try to control others because they don't feel good about themselves. Rather, they are under the spell, constrained by a whole collection of illusions. These illusions are signs of the spell because they are in effect wherever the spell is at work. We've already seen one, the Teddy illusion. Here are some more examples of illusions that comprise the spell. Note to self over to Tabitha Jane. I think I skipped the chapter before that has the Teddy illusion. I'll go back to that because that is an important part of this. I'm sorry that I might have skipped a thing. It's been a while since I've been able to try and get to this book because of my frickin' cold. So I'm sorry if I skipped that. I'll continue to read this and then I'll go back to that chapter the next time we talk. The illusions of the spell. People who are under the spell are acting under one or more of the following illusions. They can actually define another person or group. Their definition of another person or group is true. Another person or group is responsible for their actions, or another person or group may not have their own separate opinion, or another person or group causes their behavior. Also, before they have concrete evidence or have been informed by the person or group in question, they are under the illusion that they know something about the other person, or what the other person thinks, is trying to do, has done, means, should do, should be, wants, needs, feels, intends, did, and expects. Or they think that the other person or group is wrong. People who are under the spell are also sure that their behavior is not odd, senseless, or harmful. They do not cross a psychic boundary, that they are right, that they are not under any illusions, that they are not playing let's pretend, that they are independent and self-reliant, and in some cases, God has chosen their side. Note to self over here, Tabitha Jane. Who is it that claims that their own daughter now sits next to God, allowing people into heaven, rather than what Catholics, Christians, and the like believe, that Jesus is in fact at the right hand of the Father? Who is that that says that their daughter's sitting there? It would be somebody who is under the spell, who is sure that God has chosen their side. That would mean that they would think that what they were doing and how they taught their daughter to treat their husband. Huh. Oh, side note there. Just a second. Sorry about that. I was Watsing again. These illusions, reinforced by culture and family, lead some people to believe that they know about others, can interpret their motives and feelings, and can tell them what is wrong with them or what they should or shouldn't do. In a healthy relationship, a misunderstanding can occur at any time. One simply asks for clarification, like, do you mean, or states what's true for them, and that it is accepted. But if someone is connected to you backwards, they may make up something about you, fabricating it on the pretext discussed earlier. That they have access to your personal reality and know more about you than you know about yourself. This is surely spellbound behavior. When even our most common greetings, how are you? How do you know? Acknowledge that our personal reality is our own. I don't know how you are, nor do I know how you're doing. It is one thing to be under the influence of the spell, and quite another to be under the influence of people who are going to influence the spell. People who are unknowingly under the influence of people who are under the influence of the spell are likely to have one or more of the following illusions. They may believe that it is reasonable for one human being to define another human being. They believe that they are stuck with another person's definition of them, that they do not have the right to their own opinions, that they can earn love and acceptance by abdicating to another person, that they are successful if they fulfill the other person's vision, even when it comes to not in a good way supporting their own. They must have permission to act in matters that are their own business. The stories in the previous chapters demonstrate the many ways that people approach backwards and even attempt to make backwards connections. We've seen the absurdity as well as the consequences of these behaviors. And we've noticed how they seem to be overlooked and not understood because the spell appears to be at work in many people's lives. Now let's look beyond the spell into the control connection itself. Let me look at what this did here. Because I wrote notes in here about when the spell and whatnot. I think that that's where I got. Because the Teddy illusion. Let me see here. We did the spell. Yeah. So Teddy was right before. Backwards approaches. Sorry. Because I really skipped ahead. I've read this book many times. And I think that so sorry. Because I think that we went back with Jack. I'm going to need to look where we left off. I'm so sorry for doing that and getting out of the chapters, because there are a lot of things that, like I say, it's like, it's really hard to explain mental abuse. Really hard. And verbal abuse and mental abuse and psychological abuse. I've been victimized by every kind of abuse. And I can say that physical abuse is the easiest to overcome. I don't care how many times somebody hits me, kicks me, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't really affect me. It doesn't, sit with me and, eat at me like buckshot. I heal, whatever. I used to get beaten up every single day at school. And I didn't really, have time to deal with how much that hurt. And just went forward, So, when I came out of my first marriage, which was incredibly mentally and psychologically and verbally abusive, it was 13 years of that. I came out, from my extreme abuse as a child and hopped into my first marriage. I met my first husband when I was 15. I was with him until I was 28. He's an amazing father. He just wasn't a great husband. He's an amazing father for my 3 oldest boys. But, I went in there as a broken child, as a broken person, and was looking for a way out, and got pregnant and clung to him, and we were great friends, but we were never what should have been a husband and wife. And so his only way of coping with that unhappiness or whatnot, was to psychologically abuse me and verbally abuse me in the way that he just did, and ultimately we grew apart, and it took me so long to understand what had happened to me, because I really didn't. I didn't know, coming from abuse and going into abuse and blah, blah, blah. So I was given one of Patricia Evans' books, The Verbally Abusive Relationship, when I started going to counseling for my divorce and trying to get through it, because I really didn't know, how to get through it. I didn't understand that what was happening to me was abuse because I wasn't being hit. And that's what people don't understand. When Neeks Peaks does such amazing work, she's like, I think Neeks Peaks is so talented. And she gets these video clips and works so hard to just show everything, right? And she gets trolled really bad. And people will sit there and troll and just ask stupid questions that they know the answers to. But they're being asses and be like, oh, really? What are you, an expert? Are you a doctor? Why don't you tell me what you think you're talking about? Because maybe they're trolling. Flaming, they're trolling. My efforts here, by reading that book, Controlling People, and the next book that I'll read is The Verbally Abusive Relationship. And then I will read the Teen Torment book too, because it's interesting. I think Patricia Evans is amazing in the way that she does it. And like I say, I read a chapter out of term because I have marked up my book and put a lot of notes, and I just made a mistake, and I'm sorry. I'll look at where I wrote the last one, and I'll be sure to be on the right chapter the next time that we talk. But I hope that by reading the books and breaking down the concept in slow pieces, then it will help you and others to understand and recognize psychological and verbal abuse for what it is, because it is very difficult to see. People on the outside can't see it. People on the outside actually still believe that they're a picture-perfect family. The Watts on Watts Island. And you can't say, even if Neeks Peaks, puts one of these together and whatnot, you have all these naysayers are like, well, that doesn't show anything, and they refuse to look at anything else. It is my desire to break things apart, and so we can put them all together for the bigger concept. And that's where I hope that I'm still worthy of your guys' time. And if you like me, please subscribe and like, share, and chat with me and chat with others in the comments. As it is going into, we are Monday now. I have my big surgery on Thursday, and I probably won't chat with you guys, for a few days. I'm not supposed to move that right arm at all, like I told you guys, for the first 2 weeks. So, there will be a time when we don't talk for a while, and I hope that we can still, talk in the comments. And like I say, I'll try to go live, so try and think about questions that you want to ask me. I won't be showing my face. I'll show my face when YouTube says that I have to. And I don't know how many subscribers that will be. I have a problem with the way that I look right now, and I'm enjoying not having all of the haters tell me what my insecurities are right now. I was extremely trolled on Facebook when I was in a group. I've talked a little bit about it, but not to the extent in what happened. And what had happened was, it was a group, and it was becoming a very divisive group with their opinions and whatnot. And, hold on, the washer's unbalanced. Hold, please, grab a drink, I'll be right back. Hold that thought, hold that thought. All right. Sorry about that, folks. One of my kiddos works nights and put their clothes in, and then the washing machine is getting unbalanced, and I wanted to wake up the whole entire family. And while I was out there, I realized the cat shit, and it smells horrible. God. I just want to run out into the rain right now and get some fresh air. Oh, I'm as stuffed up as I can. I can smell cat shit. My God. God. Hey, if anybody, because has anybody used the litter robot? Because I'm really wondering if that would help with some of the cat shit smell. Because it used to be that Scentsy wax, the linen smell, would cover it just beautifully. But the cat shit mutinized, and like the wax will not hold its own against it. It is horrible. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Anyway, so I was, and this has been like what, maybe 6 years ago? Let's say 6. And it was this group, and this Facebook group, and it got very divisive, and a really big group. And they had started wanting to branch out in the group and to have some of the group become authors. And so they chose me as one of the people that they wanted to write and then have discussions. So I would write, and I put a little bit of humor in every once in a while, and people loved what I wrote, right? Well, that was the kiss of death, because I got severely trolled. They hacked my own personal Facebook account and took my picture. I think I've described this. They took my picture and they like superimposed all of these big like lesions all over my face. And I have Crohn's disease. And I was in the hospital for a GI bleed. So it was stated that I wouldn't be on for a little bit. So I hadn't checked my Facebook in a couple of days. And then there I was in the hospital for a really, I almost died with that bleed. The hospital sat with me and made me write my advance directive that night because they said that the next step is that I will bleed and they won't be able to stop it. So I had not been able to get on the computer for a couple of days. And then when I felt better, you know, the IVs were working and my bleed was slowing. I still wasn't able to eat or anything. And I had my laptop and I turned it on and I couldn't get into my own Facebook account. And there was my picture, anyway, of all these lesions. And it said that I was in the hospital because I got fucked in the ass so bad that I was bleeding. And to see the people laughing and whatnot, I could not access my own page. So they had this picture of me with all these sores all over my face. There were all these comments that said that, you know, I was cross-eyed and I looked like a girl who had never left my farm, and I wasn't raised on a farm. I don't know what that is about, but basically it's saying that I look like a farm girl and cross-eyed and fat and ugly and basically it made me look like a meth-riddled chick. And the thing saying that I got fucked in the ass and was bleeding and in the hospital from that. And these were all other women, many of whom I thought were my friends. Online friends. As stupid as that sounds. People who I had never met were my best friends because I had been sick for a very long time at that point, and my only outlet was my Facebook. So then when I got into those groups, and those groups became very, very toxic. And so here I am in the hospital, sick as shit. You know, the only thing I should be worried about is healing, and I had been hacked, doxxed, whatever you call it. They were calling my phone number, threatening to murder me, and that they were going to come up and saying that my husband should have a body bag ready. And this was about 300 people at one time coming for me. And I was trying to hold my own against about 300 other people. And it was about the fourth day of it. So, you know, the 300 people had multiplied to 900 people. And, you know, and anybody who, you know, wasn't involved in it didn't want to get involved with it because they didn't want to be the next one. And it was brutal. It was day in and day out, just nonstop being harassed and harassed and harassed and trying to regain control of my Facebook and trying to get my own picture back up. And having all of these people, you know, we're up to 300, 500 people, you know, talking about any conversation, any word I'd ever said, anything ever being brought up and torn apart and used against me and twisted and everything. And all of these screenshots of other conversations and I was in the hospital, sitting there trying to hold my own. Trying to just be calm and see how it happened. What had I done? I blamed myself. And I know that, you know, the computer, you know, pictures and stuff, you know, are just a picture. They're not, you know, you may not be as, I didn't think I had never once been told I was ugly or hideous or anything of the nature or anything before that. But just to have like the 300 to 500 people at one time telling me how freaking ugly and fat and stupid and blah, blah, blah I looked. It was really tough. It was really, really extreme, aggressive online bullying. And like I said, so many of them who I thought were my friends. And, like I say, no one's your friend when you're the one getting jumped. Because they were all like, and why do I get involved? I don't want to get involved. Well, if you have beef, I'm like, how would I have beef? What did I even do? So I was just, you know, taking it all and trying to, you know, regain. Because when they do it, they start all these groups that get against you and whatnot, and take everything, and then it just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And this is when Facebook was really having a problem with the online bullying and the groups. And so what it would be, it was there was just like no way you could get out of it or get away from it, you know. And trying to regain control of my account, and it was just a mess. And I got to thinking, when that happened, how is a child, how is a 13, how is an 8-year-old supposed to deal with this kind of harassment? Because when it's happening to them, the online harassment, then they go to school and it's there too, and the bus and everywhere. And you know, there are many people who have taken their own lives from online harassment and bullying since then and around then. Facebook started cracking down on it. But when it happened to me, there was no support from Facebook or anything like that. These people were calling and making fake police reports and blah, 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 blah. And like I said, I was just trying to, I was like, okay, so what happened? Why are you doing this? What do you, I was just trying to reason with the people, and that's not what they're about. Online bullies and whatnot, they're not about that. They don't care what the facts are. I was trying to just be logical, like, well, how did this happen? What do you think that I said? Where did I offend you? Why didn't, So, I was holding my own, and then this person came through from this organization that was against online bullying, and they came and they tried to, like, open a dialogue against all of the bullies and say, wait, what are you doing? What is your case here? Why are you saying this? Why are you attacking her? And this person is, messaging me privately saying, well, what happened? How did this happen? And I'm going, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And this person, stayed up through the night with me, trying to, because they would come in and they'd be like, okay, why are you saying this? Why are you saying that? Well, then they would attack the, person who was there trying to mediate, to try and say, this is logical. What can you do, So that person, stayed with me for 7 hours that night, trying to just calm this down so I regain my Facebook and block the people and report the groups. And this person who was staying up with me she joined a little group online that was, there so that it would prevent suicides from online bullying. This person had done so because their daughter had been bullied online and sadly did take their own life. And this person's standpoint on it was why they started to volunteer was because it sounded so trivial. Why did their daughter, who had everything going for her, her children, her husband, why would she have taken her own life over online bullying? Didn't make sense. Until they spent the night with me and saw what happens. How intense it can be. How you have hundreds of people against you at once. And I hadn't even had anything on my profile or anything that was open to the public or anything like that. I mean, these people got in to my personal Facebook, took my personal things, got into everything, took it over to where I couldn't even begin. Like I say, Facebook isn't there to help you. And I had used my own Facebook, for my things, my personal, photo albums and whatnot that I had made and didn't have them backed up or anything, so I couldn't just walk out of that profile. And that Facebook thing, had been my absolute distraction, my own escapism from, being so sick. That, it was the way that I spent my days and whatnot, and to have it come down to that was really awful. So, I know that you guys are like, why don't you show your face and whatnot? Well, I've heard it all, and I've been really severely online bullied, so like I say, I think that there's a point where you have to show your face at this point now. Because I know I really like watching Plunder, and I know that Plunder didn't show their face for a long time, and now she doesn't. She's absolutely beautiful, so she should have always showed her face. But she shows herself, and I think she's spoken to why she had to, or whatever, that Facebook changed it, or not, or YouTube changed it, so they had to. So I know when you guys ask and you think it's something really simple and whatnot, there's some pain behind that, if you will. But other than that, again, I'm sorry that I read the chapter out of order, blaming on the cold medicine, and sorry I'm not really myself today. I was just going to try and get through some bits and bobs, if you will. And I hope that this gets you through your Monday commute. And I love seeing where you guys, somebody said that they were listening to me while they're mountain biking, and I love that, because then I'm living vicariously through them. Like, maybe I'm the one on the mountain bike. I'm doing something wonderful. And then other people, they listen to me while they're taking a shower, gardening, cooking, just sitting around with their headphones on. I love it. Let me know what you're doing when you listen to me. And again, I hope that I made myself worth your time, even though tonight I kind of sucked. And then let me know if you guys have had this virus too, and if you guys have been tested for the flu or strep or whatever. Because like I said, I tested negative for COVID. Had COVID severe, as you guys know, and had COVID meningitis with it. Got vaccinated after. Got my booster. They don't want me to have another booster yet. And both tests over the last 2 weeks I've taken are negative. I have to have my big PCR test tomorrow for surgery for COVID. So if the home tests aren't working and I have it, hope not, because I'd have to reschedule. But I don't know if this thing is the flu or the RSV strain that they say is out there. I don't know what it is. I hope you guys don't get it. But back to school always brings these things. So let me know if you guys are hearing kind of what this thing is. And otherwise, have a happy Monday. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye now.